Spotlight.
This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Waqf Amendment Bill 2025. The participants are Vijay Kranti, political analyst, and Neelabh Srivastava, journalist.
We are discussing about the Waqf Amendment Bill that has been passed in the Lok Sabha yesterday after a marathon 12-hour of debate by various MPs from both sides of the benches, the opposition benches, also the treasury benches. What happened in Lok Sabha yesterday was the bill was cleared with 288 votes in favor, 232 against it. What the government has said that why this bill was important was because the Waqf, as such, the entire Waqf administration will be strengthened, the tribunals will be strengthened, and a structured selection process will be maintained. The discussions are now continuing today in the Rajya Sabha. It is expected that it will be passed today in the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Kranti, now that we have seen what happened yesterday, till late in the night, around 2 o'clock, most of us were watching it. So the first question that comes to mind is why Waqf Amendment Bill? What exactly was the logic or the compelling reason for the government to bring it in this session and to get it passed in with the clauses that it has?
One reason is that because Waqf is a very, very important institution. It is a management body of the Muslim community. It manages properties and money which belongs to overall the Muslim community of India. So, and this money runs into very large figures. And it was necessary that the money should be used properly, honestly. And those who are supposed to be the beneficiaries, the poor people, the Muslim women, and all various sects of the Muslim community, all should gain out of it. So that was the basic purpose, and it was felt because there have been so many complaints from so many sections of Indian Muslim community that Waqf is not performing as honestly and as efficiently as they wanted to see it. So that's the reason. And second reason was that in 2013, there was a very strange kind of amendment in the Waqf Act, which was made in 2013 by the UPI government. And now it is felt that it was less to do justice and more to do to address the voting Muslim community vote bank. In that, in 2013 changes, Section 40 was added, which gave very draconian powers to the Waqf board, to the extent that even if a Waqf board in any state occupies or announces anybody's property as the Waqf property, who are affected, victims, had no right to go to the court of law to seek justice. They had to go and appeal to the Waqf board itself, who is, in their opinion, snatching their property. So this was considered to be a very, very undemocratic, unconstitutional move. So the current government has changed that. They have nullified Section 40 and brought in many changes, which makes the functioning of the Waqf board more transparent, more democratic, and more inclusive.
Right. Both sides had their own share of arguments. So when the opposition says that this is being brought by the government because it wants to divide people on religious lines, it says that this is unconstitutional also. And this is in order to create a polarization by the party in power at the center. However, the government, whereas it says that this is essential to bring in transparency in the entire functioning of the Waqf boards, and also in order to ensure that the people who actually belong to the community, there are certain sections which in this case were Pasmanda Muslims, women, certain other sections of the Muslim community, they were not adequately represented. I wanted to speak to you with regard to the women and these sections as to why and how were they not represented.
You have raised these major issues very clearly. The problem about this, the debate which was going on nationally, was that the whole debate was being misrepresented very strongly. One is that it was being claimed that by bringing this bill, the Modi government will occupy the Muslim mosques and there will be direct interference in the functioning of the mosques, and which obviously any common Muslim would not like to see. And very rightly, they would not like to see that. But the reality is that this Waqf bill has nothing to do with the mosques. We should understand before starting any discussion that Waqf is not a religious body. Waqf is a management body of belonging to a specific religion, Muslims. And it is managing the property which belongs to collectively to the Muslim society of India. It does not manage, and I repeat, it has nothing to do with the management of or running of the mosques. that no religious aspect of Islam is handled by Waqf.
Right.
It is only handling the money, the property which belongs to the society. And what was happening, that there were complaints that those people who are very influential, who are very rich, who are politically very strong within the Indian Muslim community, they had overwhelmed the Waqf boards at all levels, the council and everything. And they were the people who were managing the properties. And there have been many complaints that these properties were being mismanaged to the extent that the Waqf board will pick up some property which is a very, very valuable piece of land and sell it to somebody to make a 5-star hotel. And they would charge for hardly any rupees. If I'm not wrong, it was 12,000 rupees for a land for a 5-star hotel.
Right.
This level of corruption was going on unchecked. And the law did not permit the victims to whom these lands belonged to even go to the court. So this amendment is removing
those anomalies.
That provision.
Yeah.
It is making very clear that the ministers have made it very clear, and the new law makes it clear that there is not going to be any control of a single community. When we say single community, in reality it is the Sunni leadership who have been occupying practically every institution. And the Shias, Ahmadiyas, the Muslim women, the Pasmandas sections of Islamic community, they had nothing to do with it, no control. Not even on the receiving end, because they were not receiving anything out of it.
Right.
So, to do justice to these communities, now the constitution of these boards will be regulated. A representative from every section will be there, and women will have a guaranteed representation so that they can present their own case and interests.
This is a bill that has been piloted by the Minority Affairs Ministry. And the minister concerned, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, spoke in the Rajya Sabha today while introducing the bill also during the discussion. Let's listen to what he has said.
हमने जो नया प्रावधान लेके आए उसमें हर वक्फ बोर्ड में मुसलमानों में जो रिकॉग्नाइज्ड सेक्ट है सब मिल करके वक्फ बनेगा। जो पिछड़े वर्ग है वो भी वक्फ बोर्ड में मेंबर होगा और आउट ऑफ 10 मुस्लिम्स 2 members minimum shall be women.
Mr. Kranti, I wanted to come back to you with regard to one very salient point. The opposition has raised the point that certain allies that the government of the day has, I think they are indicating towards Janata United from Bihar, which is a poll-bound state, and also TDP. So they probably will have reservations. So what I understand from the deliberations is that they had few pointers here and there, but then they went along with the government and supported the bill that resulted in passing in the Lok Sabha, and now it is being discussed in Rajya Sabha. So how do you see this?
I look at it as a very interesting development. If I can say a few words, that this was not an intelligent move on the part of the opposition, especially the Indie Alliance, that they raised this issue and put all their prestige on this issue. Number one, they were not betting on a justified issue. And secondly, they were hoping that these parties like the TDP, JDU, LJP, Shiv Sena, they will, to protect their own Muslim base, they will not side with Modi. And that was their great hope, but I think that was a very wrong calculation. What happened this time, that all these have stood by the Modi government. What we see when there were, previously you saw the CAA Act bill was passed, Triple Talaq, UCC, 370. In those days, Modi party, the BJP party, had its full majority. And these parties sided with them. So anybody could say that they were under pressure. They did it. But this time they were not under pressure. And this time they have sided with the BJP. It shows that Modi has emerged as a much stronger leader of NDA than he was when his party had full majority. So this move, I think, was a miscalculation on the part of the opposition, the Indie Alliance, and I'm sure they are going to face music for it. The second part of it is because the whole discussion was available to ordinary people on the TV screen. In your house, you could see who is saying what. And luckily this time, the democracy functioned very, very in a healthy manner. Everybody had a chance to speak. Nobody walked out. There was no violence, no disruptions. And the exchange was very fair. So through this discussion, this fair discussion, when the vote comes out, then that has more acceptance. And I personally believe, as Mr. Amit Shah said, that you just wait for 3-4 years and you will find that the results of this change are going to benefit those sections of Indian Muslim society who were always ignored.
The argument by the treasury benches, or in fact, I would say the intervention by the treasury benches was largely, especially the ministers, was kind of sometimes I found that this is like an FAQ that they are trying to explain about the salient features of the bill. So they would say that when you are trying to mislead the country, the opposition, as they accuse the opposition of misleading the country by saying that one point you said that there'll be nothing to do with the mosques, the management of mosques, non-Muslim members, and the kind of control that it will have, and the appeal to the courts, going to the tribunals and all. So I would want you to please throw some light on this as to what these salient features are, where probably it is being thought as a grey area, where probably it is not, or what the bill exactly says about it.
This is what is the salient point of this whole discussion, that opposition leaders, unfortunately, they had only 2 points in their mind. Number one, to oppose Modi, and second, to present themselves as champions of the Muslim cause. And they competed with each other, these opposition parties. And unfortunately, they could not put the logic properly before the people. Initially, they were able to raise this confusion that there were many places there were demonstrations where Muslims expressed fear that our mosque will be occupied. Government will, hamari masjid chhin legi humse. And in the reality, this bill has nothing to do anywhere with any mosque. So, through discussion, even the Indian Muslims realized that they were being misguided by opposition, raising wrong issues. For example, the corruption issue came out very clearly. The Home Minister pointed out, he gave one example that in 2013, when the amendments were made, the Waqf property in India total was 18 lakh, means 1800,000 hectares of land. And after this amendment was made, that Waqf can claim anybody's land, the government's land, panchayat's lands, and individual's land. Do you know how much land now from 18,000 hectare, it has become today 39 lakh, which means 39,100,000 hectares of land, which means in India, railways and defense ministry, they are the biggest landowners for obvious reasons. But then Waqf is another, for no reason. So this anomaly had to be corrected. Because the money was being mishandled, there were so many instances when the land, houses owned by Waqf were being given away to the favored people. The shops and commercial complexes were given away for a song on a very, very low price, and they were distributed among themselves due to each other's families. And this, I'm sure, in next 1-2 years, you will see that after this bill, all those things are going to be scrutinized, and you will find regularly those issues where you will find that huge packets of land were how they were given to the people or their own relatives to themselves, and how they are going to be taken back.
The Home Minister Amit Shah also spoke about the bill, what exactly the contours are. Let us listen to that.
इस सदन के माध्यम से देश भर के मुसलमान भाइयों बहनों को कहना चाहता हूं, आपके वक़्फ में एक भी नॉन मुस्लिम नहीं आएगा। ये एक्ट में ऐसा कोई प्रावधान नहीं। मगर जो वक़्फ बोर्ड है और वक़्फ परिषद है, उसका काम क्या है? वक़्फ की संपत्तियां मान्यवर बेच खाने वाले लोगों को पकड़कर इसके बाहर निकालने का। वक़्फ के नाम पर औने पौने दाम में संपत्तियों को 100 साल तक किराए पे देने वाले लोगों को पकड़ना है। वक़्फ का जो पैसा होता है, इनकम जो गिरती जा रही है, जिसके माध्यम से माइनॉरिटी का विकास करना है, माइनॉरिटी को आगे बढ़ाना है।
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Mr. Kranti.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Waqf Amendment Bill 2025. The participants were Vijay Kranti, political analyst, and Neelabh Srivastava, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.
Spotlight.